my son dribbling on screen.
Hello, hello, hello. First time chat. Penguin is a tater tot. Hello. That's a cool name. I like that. I rate that. It's almost like you've been deceived. You thought it was a penguin the whole time. But really, it was just delicious potato goods. Welcome in, everyone. You may have noticed, maybe we had 7 viewers and now it suddenly just shot down. Maybe that's because everyone realised Fern isn't here. No, I'm only joking. But yes, Fern unfortunately feeling a little under the weather, so it is just me this week. So bear with me. It's going to be one of these. I didn't know whether to do the whole lazy stream thing, but I figured, hey, we're scheduled, we're in, so why not go all out? Yeah, poor Fern. Hopefully Fern will be back. And we couldn't delay it next week because I think Fern's taking time off as well, so that's all good. Hopefully we'll be back to it in 2 weeks' time. Oh, the Director 123. Cannot wait for this game. Your art style looks incredible, and the attention to hand-drawn detail is amazing. Thank you. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. Every day. I'm really not doing much else day to day at the moment, other than working on the game. Oh, and Ben is here. Welcome in, Ben. Good to have you here. I think the artwork is just about where I want it to be at the moment. I look back at the game maybe a year ago and it's a little bit awkward, but I think we're getting there. So but that is just a case of tinkering, tweaking. My philosophy has always been as little detail as possible. So I try to do the Bob Ross thing, where he makes it look like there's a lot of trees, or there's a lot of detail, but really it's just a few brush strokes. That's where I want to be. That's where I want to be in my work. I want to do as little work as possible, and reap all the rewards. Good to have Sparrow in the chat. Hopefully it's another great stream. I saw Twitch has like a... What is this? Chat highlights. Is that a new thing? I like to think that it's like at the end. It does like like an Overwatch chat of the game. And it somehow figures out automatically. Maybe some AI decides what the best chat was. Plays it back. Maybe we're a few years away from that. How am I today? Not too bad. Like, you just get those days where maybe you just didn't sleep quite right. That's me today. But working through that. That's okay. And I think drawing is one of the better things to to keep me occupied. So good to be here doing the stream. Take my mind off any headaches. Emo pickle. Yeah, I think I did this one for we did kind of we didn't do it this year. But we did a what's it called? We did like an Inktober, but it was like a Garden Path version of Inktober last year. It was a very busy October, to be fair, with the game and everything. And I think I did this one for that. Sorry, I usually do like requests, and we usually do one of the characters. Oh, let me just resize this quick. Yeah, we usually do a request, but I need to get my head down and get some of the characters in the game, really, which means that it's a little bit of busy work. I've got to draw the back of this character's head, but we'll also do, maybe I need to do like, I don't think this one has their eyes and mouth. Oh sure, penguins, yeah. Any questions you have, just fire away. That's what I'm here for. And and I'll do my best to answer. But yeah, I think it's Leslie the Sad Marrow, not not a pickle. Is a pickle? I don't think there's any pickles in the game because I think a pickle needs to be pickled. The trailer showed mainly text-based interaction. Will there be any voice acting? The answer is no. There won't be sort of voice lines. But I do quite like the idea of kind of giving the character some voices eventually, which might just be me sort of grunting in a booth. But I'll make sure it sounds good, don't worry. or my mate's grunting in a booth. It'll be something like that. Not a pickle fan, inherited vinegar intolerance. Really? What is it about? I've not heard of that. Is there a specific something about vinegar that... Because I'm a big fan of vinegar. I use it in like every time I cook I use vinegar. A good healthy amount of vinegar. And I like to clean with it as well. I feel like it rinses you out, vinegar, doesn't it? Keeps you on your toes. You'd grunt in a booth for me. Oh, maybe I'll get you in. I'll think about who you can be. There's not too many characters because I don't know if the vegetable characters would have voices. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, we have some, you know, we buy some strong white vinegar for cleaning, and it can make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up if you get too big a whiff. So I can totally see that angle of it. But your last question: will there be multiplayer? Yes, there is going to be multiplayer. I'm glad you asked that. Although it's kind of been what I've been working on the last few months, and I'm finally, because the idea was to sort of get the game restructured to support multiplayer, but then have the game run single player, and that's kind of where the game is at. I think the game is finally in a place where everything works, at least for one player, which is good news. Maybe not everything. I might not have caught everything, but as best I can. And yes, so hopefully we've got this. The split screen does work, and I was recently working on the 2 controllers, and that works now. So I'm hoping. I'm sure there'll be a lot of kind of going through and just making sure certain things work. I know a lot of things still they read the value that there's. They read the value player 1, and they essentially just need to get the data player 2, if that makes any sense. So that's a little bit of busy work, but at least it supports the fact that it knows there could be 2 players. I need to do like the character lines, where they're kind of, just to make it, so the characters are kind of aware of the fact that there's 2 people in the garden. As opposed to, so they're not, if the first character meets if the first player meets a character and they're like, oh hi, and then they introduce themselves, and then the second character meets them, they're not going to act like, oh, I already know who you are. With 2 players on Switch, is it going to require 2 controllers, or have you managed to map everything to a single Joy-Con? So good question. I haven't done it yet, but I have a TXT file with the plan to do a single Joy-Con. And it essentially boils down to, I think Sparrow will know this, there's kind of what's called the dash, and it's just kind of, I kind of included it as a visual thing, but eventually it became useful for mouse controls as well. but it kind of sits on top of the screen. And the button, I can't remember which one. The one that usually goes to the stars, I think instead will pull up the dash. And then the plan.tm, yeah. We'll pull up the dash and then you'll be able to left and right through the options. So, or maybe the inventory button will do that. So for your inventory, you'll have to go inventory A, you know, instead of just inventory. But I think given how limited, I thought I had a Joy-Con around here. Maybe I think I put it back in the box, I think. But yeah, but I think it's a decent compromise. And I've also been, and also of course a single Joy-Con only has one. It's only got the one wiggly stick. What do you call it? I've totally gone blank. You know what I mean? Analog stick. And also no D-pad. So yeah, analog. Yeah, and so just kind of figuring out around that, because the game already assumes it has the mode where it combines the analog stick with the D-pad, and now that's the default because I wanted to accommodate for the Joy-Cons. So yeah, and I think that's a really important part of the Switch thing, is you know, that you could just hand over a Joy-Con and you can both play. Steam has the release date of 2022. Does it still say 2022? There will be updates on that. There's still plans, but because I don't know if you know this, Penguin, but the game was a Kickstarter, and it should be going out to backers. It will be going out to backers in 2022. But yeah, there might be some delays with the Switch, and a few other updates, which I don't know how much I can say, but there will be updates on that soon. In the new Pokemon game, you attach 2 controllers and push the joysticks forward on both. Your character goes twice as fast. You attach 2 Oh, okay. I mean, there is a sprint button. Yeah, I guess you'd be losing out on the camera, because the other stick zooms in the camera. But I guess I could do it so that you knew. Oh, but I don't know what does the other analog stick do in Pokemon then? Is it just there to sprint? Oh, it's a bug. Okay. I missed out on that. Sorry, there I was being all earnest. Okay. So, and they don't want you to run twice as fast. It's not like you accidentally sprint. That's funny. I'm assuming that's what you mean. Yeah. I mean, we've got our own. I think there's a movement bug where you kind of walk. I'm sure every game probably has this at some point, where you slide around at max speed without the running animation, just with your feet on the floor. So you know, still things to work through. But again, it's only if you do some very specific inputs, which I'm sure if people really put their mind to it, they'd figure it out. Moonwalking is still in the game, where you can kind of what is it? It's where it plays the forward animation, but you run backwards. I think you can. It's an advanced technique, but it is in the game. Yeah. Some bugs are just the kind of thing. Something like this happened the other day. I think it's still a bit awkward picking. But anyway, just because a bug seems simple doesn't always mean that it is, and sometimes it can be at the absolute core of the game that the bug exists. Unfortunately, but there's always that one bug that kind of maybe isn't too important, but you know, just keeps getting pushed back for more important things. Multi-track drifting. I don't even know what that would look like. What would that look like? Where the character kind of runs and then goes like skids. Starts playing Deja Vu. Wonder if we can get the rights to that. Multi-universe drifting. The characters have. I'm just doing the different eyes for this character. I might do this on a few others as well. The characters have, I think. Oh, I haven't done this in quite a while. I think they have 8 different emotion on the eyes. Oh, thanks for joining, Ben. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Grunting in booths, because that's how they did it in Banjo-Kazooie, wasn't it? So I'm sure it's possible, but maybe not. Maybe I won't go fully down that route, but I'll definitely give you a shout. Cheers, Ben. Take care. Or at least there's definitely... Oh, there's quite a few different emotional states. I think there could be even more than 10. But they're a combination, really, of eyes and mouth. Go down the Animal Crossing route and just have a sound that sounds like a voice. Well, I guess that's kind of... It's similar as well to... Well, the Banjo-Kazooie one was really annoying. I don't know if anyone remembers, but essentially every syllable it would play a random noise. And each character would have like 5 noises, so it would just kind of go ooh, 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 ooh. That's my impersonation of it anyway. Which actually I'm surprised no other game has done it, because it gives it a certain charm, but is a little bit annoying. I do like in the Animal Crossing mode that I would be, if I did that, I would be straight up ripping up Animal Crossing. Sorry, not ripping it up, ripping off Animal Crossing. So I won't be doing that. But yeah, and I like how in Animal Crossing, if you really do focus, you can hear the actual words they say, because they do actually have I think they have it mapped to every single letter, don't they? I think that's what it is. It's like someone in a voice booth has gone G for G. So if they say the word go, they'd go go like that, because it's, but very quickly. I just thought it, yeah, and I think if anybody did that, they'd be ripping up Animal Crossing, really, wouldn't they? The clangers, yeah. I guess there's a bit of an overlap. And the clangers was my favourite as a kid. There was one episode where the little girl clanger falls into a crater, and like first person like kaleidoscopically glides through, and I could never find it. It's one of those things that's just in my mind. I remember as a kid thinking like they really pushed the boat out on that one, for a television show in the 70s. Maybe as a kid though it was more impressive. Maybe if I look back on it, it wouldn't be that cool. Because even as a kid I knew it was quite an old show. There's a book of scripts apparently. Yeah, and I've heard they swear a lot as well. I've heard that's kind of the thing. But I don't know if that was just a rumour. They kind of, it'd be oh bloody hell or whatever. Which for a kid you couldn't get away with. Hi Lilith, welcome in. Good to have you. I know the game focuses on the garden. Will there be an ability to cook what we grow? So instead of going down the cooking avenue, I decided to go down tea brewing avenue. That's kind of the idea of the game. It's sort of the alternative. And so instead of, you don't really grow, because in a garden it's not a farm game. It's more of a kind of a, you're growing a botanical garden. You're growing different herbs and spices, and so you use those to sort of brew different teas. Which I kind of went for I'm trying to go for a Breath of the Wild kind of thing, where any combination ultimately provides something. But depending on what you put in, you get different outcomes. But there's no kind of wrong. It's not sort of a strict crafting. Leslie's pretty angry here. I'm sorry to hear that you're sick, Lilith. Seems like everybody's sick at the moment. Maybe something is going around. Maybe it can jump across ponds. I'm not sure. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, even I'm feeling a little bit run down today. We do a little thing. I live in a part of Bristol where every year there's a front room festival where people open up their houses and show off their art. And I've never actually hosted it myself, but that's what I was doing over the weekend. And having it's been off the last few years, or it's been a bit dicey. It was on last year. It was a bit dicey, but with COVID and everything, having loads of people in your house was always a little bit antsy. But yeah, so I don't know if I've maybe just caught something from that, but maybe I could just be thinking too much about it. Oh yeah, Blank Shaw, that's Chris. He he works on the team, so ask him any questions. He probably knows more of I do than than the news. I just keep my head down. In the States, we have an early week due to holiday. I said that's strange. Holiday. It's tempting not to call out for work to start an early holiday. Oh, because of I feel like I said a load of words. I'm not sure if I actually read what you typed, but yeah, because of it slipped my mind. Thanksgiving. I like Thanksgiving because because everything in the UK supermarkets at the moment, as soon as Halloween is over, it's all Christmas. And I like that in the States, at least, Thanksgiving provides that buffer between the two. And I feel like, I don't know, 2 months is too soon. Having the entire of November and the entire of October and November for Christmas was a little bit much for me. But we're definitely getting to that. Things are starting to feel festive. I'm just very curious, since the type of games I play, simulation/cozy games on Twitch. I'm always looking for new games, and this really caught my eye. I'm super excited to see it. Oh, fantastic! Yeah, I mean, it should be, and we do demos and we do limited runs, so keep an eye out, and you know, you might get a chance to get your hands on it. Sparrow, I'm on holiday because I've got annual leave to burn or lose it. I need to. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people I think are doing that. I don't know if there was something particular about the year, but I know a lot of people doing the whole just staying at home and taking a week off. I don't know. Maybe you have actually gone on holiday. Yeah, that sounds pretty sweet. But my freelance work, which I usually just do an hour or so a day, an hour or two, has kind of slowed up, and so it's kind of been full on with the game, which it's nice to have something to take my mind off the game sometimes. I think I might work on. Since things have been so slow, I might work on doing prints or something, or I don't know, gift cards. I'm not sure. Just not in my home office. Yeah, having that separation. I think I'd probably, if I took the week off, I'd probably just stay in the living room the whole time. What have we got? We got happy eyes. We got closed eyes, worried eyes. 2 worried eyes apparently. Oh, we've got angry eyes, normal eyes, shocked eyes. I think we're missing. There's one for when they're having a think, which is usually a bit like this. Depressed eyes. I'd say depressed. I mean, they're meant to be a bit of a sad character. When they're feeling sad, usually these eyes. But we'll do the mouth in a minute as well. Worried. I think it's worried. Oh, and they're suspicious. Might be a bit tricky for this character, actually. Oh, did I mean to do that? Sorry, I'm doing off-screen layer management. What have we got? Okay. So suspicious. Bring in the eyes like that. Yeah, and the fun thing about suspicious eyes, or even just the other day, actually, I had a new emotion called Wicked. Called it Wicked. So even though, for instance, for suspicious eyes, if they've got their mouth and they look, they've got a sad mouth, and they look kind of unsure like this. But if you swap that in for a happy mouth, they look a bit mischievous, you know, like this. They're an olive character. I saw the new olive Pokemon, I thought of how you could do better. Yeah, there isn't an olive, actually. That's a good idea. I haven't seen the Pokemon. You think I could do better? That's kind. Oh, I searched Olive Pokemon and I didn't get what I thought I was going to get. I think there's a trainer called Olive. Oh, here we go. Oh, is it the one? It's kind of got an olive on its head. Smoliv. Oh, I have got it. I don't know. I kind of like them, but they've got a bit of a... Is that how they always look, no matter what? Let me get it on stream. Yeah, taking ideas is always a bit dicey, isn't it? Creature's got a whole new way of pasting in images, and I think it's actually worse than it was. Oh, there they are. I think they always look this afraid. I think that's their MO. I'm thinking gut instinct for an olive. Well, I guess you could do a lot of characters. You can kind of do it two ways. Where the top of their, you could either do like the pit is then, yeah, the pit is their nose, or their face is just, you know, their face is just on the front and the pit is on the top. I don't know. Would the character have the foresight? You say afraid, I say cute. It's one of those things. Doesn't Japan has like a lot of words for cute, don't they? And there's kind of that cute where it's sort of, I'm not sure what it is, but that sort of cute where you kind of want to take care of them is kind of different to a cute where you take care of them because they're in a state of despair, I think, in kind of a hopeless way. I think it's like a whole word different to just cute. Having an olive not called Olive, they wouldn't be called Olive. That's my rule. And I wouldn't call them Olivia either. I just like giving the characters kind of sophisticated names. Some of them have little puns, but I like the idea that they just have a name and they just kind of go about their lives and they've got that name and it's no big deal. They're not kind of like a living, walking reference, or in joke. That's too obvious anyway. I love the names you choose. Oh, thank you. I do actually. I have this massive. I think I got it on GitHub or something. Just this massive list of names, and I kind of just scrolled through them and and picked them. I can't remember how I picked the names to the characters, but I'll have the character. I don't think how I did it. I think I just had a list of names, and then I would have like I knew what the personality would be, and then I knew what the vegetable would be. And I would match them to that. But it's been such a long time since I've done it, because I kind of set out these are the 40, 50 characters. And just kind of stuck to it. There have been a few, I think there's been a few kind of, especially with Kickstarter we've had a few. Because we had that as a reward. I said I wouldn't be doing any new characters, but I'm just curious. There's not much to an olive, is there? So maybe we get away with it. Would an olive stuff itself with a red pepper? I don't know. Might be something a little bit more inventive. I quite like garlic stuffed olives. Detective Olivestein. Is that a reference? I'm not quite getting that. Maybe I should know. It'd be fun to do a detective kind of Detective-esque character, maybe. Stuffed veggies. Yeah. Again, it's the whole kind of like, I don't know what the lore of the game is, you know, if there's like, if the vegetables are kind of aware of the fact that they're edible goods, and maybe they, maybe they, maybe there's like inanimate versions of themselves, and there's some kind of magic specific, or maybe vegetables are purely all talking. Oh, a title for the character. No, I don't know if I could fit a title in the text box, unfortunately. Yeah, having a detective character. Or a character with a pipe. Although I don't want to promote. I don't want to promote smoking. Maybe bubbles come out of it. So the classic eyes and mouth is just like, you just kind of do this when you and boom. Easy Olive. But maybe I could go down that route. I have with a couple of them, but it's a little, I like to spice it up if I can. Maybe I'll give a little bit more definition on the mouth. Almost, it's too easy. Yeah, and he needs like a really proper name. But one to come back to, maybe. Oh, and then you can like to do this. With the little the little blush. That's your 101. But I think it took me a while to land on this, but I think sort of fading within, for anyone that's interested, if I do like I mean this is a bit rough, but like sort of fading within so you kind of block out the shading. So, and if I was to truly fade it, I would just kind of bring that in from up there, but I feel like that suddenly loses something. It kind of loses definition, so I think kind of having the blocked shape intact in this harsh area here, but then fading it within the shaded space, and that looks quite good. Look away for 5 seconds and we have an olive. That's how easy it is. We just churn them out here. But yeah, like I said, I'll come back to them. I do like the idea of an olive, and they're dead easy on an olive. They're just, again, would they have a little stuffed red pepper? I don't know. Stuffed red pepper in there. Like an olive my dad would eat. I like the garlic stuffed ones. Pepper's fine. Although sometimes they're not as garlicky as you're hoping. Can we call the olive Lilith? We could. We could. Stuffing one veggie's character and then another feels weird. Yeah, I think it feels weird. Yeah, I think I prefer them as well without. I think like I think it's a more cleaner shape. Anyway, Back to Suspicious Leslie. But there's a lot of I think there's still berries in the game, but there's no berry characters, for instance, and the berries can be used to flavor teas. But I felt like without having berries, I felt like I was missing a big kind of portion of potential harvestables. There's some cool berries. Somehow Bratz always finds a way. I was on the Wikipedia for Barbies the other day. I can't remember why. Someone was talking about Mattel. And I didn't realise there was such a close competition between Bratz and Barbie. I always thought Bratz was kind of a flash in the pan thing, but apparently they really had Barbie sweating for a time. But for me, I would just as a kid, you would kind of just. I must have seen so many adverts as a kid. Must have seen. I wonder if they've ever mapped that, like different generations and the number of adverts they. And as a kid, you like. You're not able to rationalize things. I remember as a kid, you just wanted every single thing that showed up, everything that was. I was kind of conditioned to view Bratz and think like, ugh. And then see. To be fair, as a kid, I was never like, you'd get those kids, you'd get the little boys playing with like big monster trucks. Well, not big monster, but like little monster trucks, and it would do all those cool flips. They'd always have little kids out in like the desert. I don't know where they shot these things. And as a kid, you'd always be like, man, it'd be so cool if I had that toy and I was in a desert. But then you realise you live in Berkshire. And small trees, yeah. They always had all the paraphernalia. And you got it and you realise you were kind of limited to your living room and you... but yeah, I was never too fussed about those. I don't know what. I think I was always keen into the sort of the arts and crafty, the toys. I remember I really loved that. There was that. We were looking into it the other day. There's a difference between. I forget. Is it kinetic sand? There's kinetic sand and there's some other kind of sand. There's that sand which. They advertised it all the time as a kid. You would pour it in water and you could like. make little sort of mountains of gunk. And pretend it was like Atlantis. But then I think there is that kinetic sand which they kind of sell as a stress toy. But I can't remember what they call that. It's not Play-Doh. It has this weird... It's sort of... I think they coat each individual grain of sand with something hydrophobic. And it sort of makes this homogeneous lump that kind of moves together, so you can kind of slice it. But if you Google it, it's one of these things that's always in your you always scroll past it. It's got sort of TikTok appeal. It's a bit unusual. I'm playing with. I feel like they're always advertising it as like something you'd play with at your desk, but I feel like it would just go absolutely everywhere. I know it does clump, but I feel like it would just fall off your desk and go under your floorboards. But because they always, I remember as a kid I had that thinking putty that you were meant to kind of play with as you thought. I remember I accidentally left it on my chair once and sat on it, and it just ruined that chair. Bring back the bunch of grapes resident. Was there ever a bunch of grapes resident? I think you might have made that one up, Chris. Unless it was a concept. Remember when fidget spinners were a thing for half a year? I think it was a bit longer than that. I don't know. I feel like they had a good couple years in them. Like they had their doubters. Even my dad bought one at one point. It's that kind of it just felt cool, didn't it, when you span it and you could kind of, I don't know, there was a bit of resistance when you I don't know why people bought them, to be honest, but there was something cool about them that you forget about quite quickly. You know, loses its appeal. I did buy one of those. Have I got it in my drawer? Oh no. Do I? I bought one of those things. It's like a key ring. It's like two key rings, sort of tied together, and you can kind of infinitely fold it in on itself. And those are kind of cool. I like that it's fairly low profile. I've just got the joke that Herb is not a herb. He's not even a vegetable. I didn't do that intentionally. I don't think so anyway. I thought it was just a cool name for a... there is another mushroom in the game, but I'm still not super happy with how they look. They're called Shelly. They're not in the game yet. I kind of like the idea of it being one of those mushrooms with multiple mushrooms kind of growing off it. But haven't quite figured out the best way to make that look good. There are a few deliberate references though, if not recently been obsessed with using, is it Chanterelle? Quite a long name, isn't it? Do you use it for like RPG characters? I never know what to call my RPG character. It feels weird naming a character that nobody else is going to ever experience. If that makes any sense. Windfall is the obvious one, yeah. And that they actually had another name. And then I was at my grandmother's house, and she's got this huge apple tree, and she said, "Oh, go pick the windfalls," and I had no idea that's what it meant. And I just thought, oh, that's too good an opportunity to pass up. I just thought it was a really nice name. If it were a name. Yeah, I was going to say Windfall is the obvious one. I don't think Glen is in the game, but Glen is a leaf, and that's just a reference to the fact that a glen is like a small forest. It's a type of mushroom. Oh, okay. But I name various game characters. I was quite happy. I called my character in Elden Ring Kettle. I just thought that was a cool name because he's like in a load of big armor. I thought that was a good name for a guy with a big hat on, big metal hat on. But I usually struggle to think of a name for a character in an RPG. I usually stick with the default. Oh, I can't find the yes. Yeah, Chanterelle is a type of mushroom. You're right. I went blank on that. Could it be a name? I don't know. Do people call that? You don't usually call people mushrooms, do you? I guess they don't have quite as much appeal as a flower or a concept. In Stardew I named my cat Inu, which is Japanese word for dog. That's cool. I rate that. The irony. Irony points. Trying to think if I've ever done any other cool names. Maybe not. I don't know what I called my pet in. Can't think of it. I name all of my digital devices after US presidents. I don't particularly know why. It's something I started doing it when I was 8. Historical US presidents, not like, you know, it'd be a bit weird if it was recent ones. Tell that to my Stardew chickens, Chancerelle, Morel, and Portobello. I rate that. We had chickens and we called them Korma and Tika, which is maybe a little bit morbid. Those were actual chickens, though. Which maybe makes it worse. But that's a cool name. Because I guess you'd have... yeah, there's something about chicken which goes well with mushroom, isn't there? You have... well, chicken and mushroom soup, chicken and mushroom pie. Yeah. Those are cute names. I like that. Another good name for a chicken is Colonel. But... I feel like everyone I know that's gotten chickens gets like real chickens. Will name them. Named your chickens Nugget, Tender, and Fried. That's very very on the nose. And I like that you included the just in case we didn't know what you meant. But and is that Stardew chickens? I don't even know if I got chickens in Stardew. I really didn't get very far in Stardew, I'll be honest. I must have done. That's like the first thing you get, isn't it? Chickens? I don't know what I named them. Honestly can't remember. It's been such a long time. But yeah, real chickens, people usually they'll name their first few and then they realise how quickly they don't tend to live that long, chickens. Just any game where I can name animals, like Rune Factory as well. Okay. What if you have... Do you sort of continue that sort of wearily? If you have like 15 chickens, do you try and keep that up? I don't know how many chickens you can get in Stardew. Is it a lot? Seeing this olive now. Needs a little bit more shape. Shading back just. I think you just keep buying coops. Makes sense. That could be. Is that a strategy? Min max coops. I haven't been on TikTok in a while, but when I was briefly giving it a go, I swear every video was like, here's why Stardew Valley speedrunners only buy coops or something like that. I didn't realise there was such a scene of going so hardcore on Stardew Valley. I don't know how hard you can take it. I did have that question. There's someone on Twitter who's very keen for the Garden Path to have like a super hardcore, like just have that as a possibility. And I don't want to, you know, I don't know to what extent you could, you know, min-max it. Not sure. I'm sure there's a lot of balancing issues that I'm not aware of at the moment. Balancing a game is like a whole job. I think they typically hire people, don't they, just to balance games. So I hope people are, I don't know, just like when I decide the value of an item, for instance, in the game, it's kind of just me getting a, you know, roughly guessing what it is according to everything else. When I started, I had no idea because nothing had a sort of a base reference. And then I sat down and I kind of wrote up this guide as to like, this is what a hat is worth. This is what a pair of trousers is worth. I kind of went from there. Because of course all the values are hidden in the game, so it's a little bit hard to tell. And all the values are multiplied and divided many which ways depending on the character that you're discussing, you're talking to. Will the game have a house you can decorate? Not a house, but you will have a tent you can decorate. I kind of wanted to... I like the idea of tents instead of houses. And I want to keep the spirit of the game in the outdoors. And decorating the outdoor space. I want to have that as a priority. But I was playing the game, this was years ago now, and I was like, but it's nice to have the tent just as somewhere that you can be like, this is my... It's quite hard to sort of declare where a base is. Cabin tent thing, same thing really. I'm glad you think so. Yeah, and I think eventually the idea of maybe the travelers, if you're rapport with them, is good enough that they'll set up a little tent in your garden. I like that as an idea. I don't know if I'd ever go through with it, but then kind of decorating each character's tent. I would be the person to put a wood-burning stove in my cloth tent for the vibe, so I support it. Yeah, exactly. And I think all the tents do have like a... they do have a... I forget what you call it, a flue. To make it seem more safe. Because you definitely can have... Yeah, you do get tents with flues. It's definitely a... But if your tent doesn't have a flue, I recommend not burning logs in it. I used to have all the axes would have a little, when you put them in your backpack, would have the artwork of a little cover which would go over the axe, but it became a little bit too much work to illustrate that for every single axe. I like the idea of safety first, you know, that you're not kind of just walking around with an axe hanging off the back of your bag. But yeah, maybe I'll come back and do it. Putting a grill indoors by your curtains. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if relative humidity is a concept in The Sims. Maybe not. Oh, no worries. All typos are welcome here. I've sure made my fair share writing the game's dialogue. Crazy, actually. I mean, when I wrote the journal for the game, which is it's not that long, but it's sizable, and I must have read through it like 10 times. You know, because I wanted to send it to the team because they all proofread it. I don't know if Chris went through it, and there were so many more typos. Just amazing what what other people see and you don't. But yeah, on Twitch chat, you can make as many typos as you want. It's nerve-wracking. That's one of the scariest things I've ever done, is putting out that book. I remember sending it off to print and I wasn't sure if the left-hand pages were on the right-hand side and if the whole thing would be... I suddenly had this like moment when I ordered it. But all worked out in the end. Like a work email, you read it over, hit send, and you notice all your errors. Yeah, I think some things do have like a where you hit send and then it kind of counts down. Like, I don't know. I might be making this up. I feel like maybe more modern things. I know they recommend that you sort of hit send later and put it on like a 5-minute timer. But then I think it closes the email. And so you can't, you know, if there was an oh no moment, you'd have it. I guess you'd have it as it closed the email, I'm not sure. Proofreading tip I got was to read it backwards, paragraph by paragraph. That's a good idea. Yeah, just to get yourself out of that, because you get so... Yeah, oh, I've never... I hope I don't have to write... you know, it's one of those things where I've never written sort of a sizable non-fiction document, and I have so much sympathy now for anyone who does that. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do. But yeah, when I used to do like essays for all my coursework, it must have been terrible because I only proofread them once. It must have been absolutely... that's an absolute nightmare of typos. Happy mouth, sad mouth. Oh, mouth. It's too big. But famously, my mum would just, if you sent anything to her, feedback, not asking for typos checked, she would just send back a list of typos. It's kind of like, tell me what you really think, you know. Because I remember getting a review for Kingdom Car, and it was just which was one of my games from some years back, and it was just a list of typos. And it kind of, usually I do get bad reviews sometimes. That's fine. But I felt particularly irked because I feel like there's always going to be typos. I just think, why go so hard? Like, I think language, obviously you should have as few as possible, but language is there to communicate, and if something isn't quite right, I think you should be charitable, I think. And I sent them a message, actually. I said, like, I can't remember what it said now. But essentially, I went through and I corrected everything, and I just let them know, hey, you know, I've changed everything, because I like to do that. I like to let people know that I'm responding to feedback. But I think, as much as I'm an imperfect artist, I think I'm an imperfect writer, and I think, especially in a game that's just me, I think there are gonna be bumps. And they were very fair, actually. They removed the review, which I wasn't expecting them to, because I think it brought the game's score back down quite a bit, which is fine. Again, if someone, the whole point of an aggregate score is to, if someone, maybe there's someone else who feels the same way and they would have felt the same way about typos, then, because it does. I agree. The worst thing about a typo is it suddenly brings, it puts the writer in your head. That's the worst thing about a typo. It makes you visualize the writer writing the work, which I think is why it's so important. You do need to be careful about them. But yeah, and then they played the game again, bless them, a little while later, and they gave me, I think it went from a 0-star to a 1-star. So what can you do? But I'm not gonna. I'll leave that there. Not sure where the game sits at the moment. I haven't checked in a while. Perfection is overrated. Perfection is non-existent, maybe. I don't know. Or is that cliche? Maybe we just need to. Maybe perfect should mean as perfect as a person can make something. Perfectionism is a curse. Yeah, and I think I think I'm the opposite of a perfectionist. I think I just like to. I get bored of something really quick, and I just I just throw it out there. I don't think I could make the garden path if I was a perfectionist. Maybe I used to be. I mean, I've said this before. I think it's good to. If you are working on something creative, it's good to get into the habit of releasing things. And just getting used to what that feels like. Because it feels a whole lot better than, well, it can do. It feels a whole lot better than working on a thing, sometimes. Because it's almost too easy. And it's a kind of a, it's something you end up chasing. I think people don't, there's an often within the game dev community, they kind of play that up as a trope. It's kind of, oh, I'm constantly just working on new projects. And I think it's important to sort of start small and get used to how it feels to put something out there into the world and then move on to the next thing. And then you slowly work on bigger and bigger things. But it's scary. I think with the garden path as well, you know, it is such a big project. There's so many moving parts. It's, you know, when you put a piece of artwork out there, for instance, it's kind of you can look at it. You look at it and you can see what it looks like. Maybe you're not super happy with it, but the deadline's coming up, and you can be like, you know, this is how it is, and I'm okay with that. Whereas with the game, it's sort of, there's so many moving and hidden parts. It's kind of it's scary when you put it out there because you just don't know. You can't look at it as a whole and capture it in your mind. And unlike a piece of artwork, which, you know, could be 99% as good as it needs to be, if a game doesn't work 100%, then essentially it works 0%, because the game just doesn't work, you know. Artwork, kind of how well a piece of art works is subjective, but fortunately code either works or it doesn't, which is something I've slowly learned. I figure there's two for the characters. There's one. Hope you've enjoyed me drawing open mouths. There's two different open mouths for happy and sad. I've got happy, sad. Got one happy. Here we go. Two sad. We've got big happy. There we go. This sort of character. Be funny. Maybe I'll just leave them as is. With some detailing, of course. The eyes are a bit too neat at the moment. Oh, now they look a bit scared. Alright, I'll come back to them. There's another character I quite like. I think they look a little bit... You can't quite fit them all in the screen. I don't know if you can see their eyes. Took me a while to get this one right. I'm quite happy with them though. Maybe they almost look a bit too human, but I like that the nose is quite human. But I don't want the characters to all look too similar. Because some people might prefer others to. This one has quite human eyes. It's Jamie. What makes them feel more human? Maybe it's the angle. I'm not sure. I usually give the call it the eye whites. Usually give them a little bit of colour. I don't like them because again it makes them a bit too human if they're just white. Yeah, I think maybe I'm gonna start doing some more just to break up the garden path work. Start doing some more art pieces standalone because it's been a while. I did do that just because I have the extra time now. I did do that that astronaut one that I posted recently. It came out quite well, but that was quite a quick piece. I'd like to do something in the vein of that oil painting. Christmas light. I believe it's been nearly a year since I did. That was fun to do in a different medium. I was going around the arts trail and even just joining Tumblr and kind of seeing what works there and what doesn't. I think you're really rewarded for having sort of a singular iconic style. I think most people do well off that. At least I couldn't see a big artist on Tumblr that sort of did things in different ways. Whereas I tend to work, again, I get a bit bored if I don't. I tend to work in different styles. Not sure if I wanted to sort of hammer a certain style for growth. I'm not too sure what I would land on. I think if I started working on the garden path today, I wouldn't do it in the style that it's currently in. But I'm glad I've gone to the effort. Because I think it does look good, and it looks like how I wanted the game to look when I first sort of pictured it in my head. Whereas if I did it today, I'd probably go for probably make it a bit more line arty. Whereas I like the way everything at the moment looks, sort of when it's zoomed out, everything kind of it has that softness which line art doesn't have. I do wonder what the game would look like in line art though, but it's far too late to. It's just one of those what ifs that will forever float around. But it's deliberately a style. Even this is a style that I'm able to produce artwork quite quickly, which I like doing. I don't like dwelling too much on. Single thing. I want to just put a few strokes down and then be done with it. Have it look good and be done. I hope. Oh, they look a bit funny there, don't they? Just their eyes. But I'm doing the it's kind of a cheat way, but it kind of looks good where I just flip the front artwork and then just delete the facial features and then sort of shade it as though it's being front lit. Yeah, I hope I'm quite enjoying Tumblr at the moment. I don't know if anybody else dipped their toe back in. I feel like it's a medium that, had I been 5 years older, maybe I would have really embraced. But I think I've only been a good enough artist that people would want to see my work for the last 5 years, maybe. I think before 4 or 5 years, I was still just learning the ropes. Even just in the last 3 years, I think I've been worth following, maybe. But I'm quite enjoying. There's something about Tumblr, isn't there? Even though it is just a blogging platform, there's something about it. It demands a certain tone, doesn't it? There's certain things I could see myself posting there that I might not post to Twitter or Mastodon. I was thinking of posting sort of short, maybe few 100-word game dev sort of snippets about maybe design. Maybe like user interface design. I don't know if people actually find that interesting though. I know people, you know, my devlog, which I haven't touched in so long, always got, and I've said this before, but always got quite warm reviews. So I'm wondering if I could do sort of a more bite-sized version of that. Not sure. But yeah, there's something sort of self-expressive about Tumblr, which I think is missing from other platforms. I think you can kind of I think it invites you to kind of do your blog regardless. Like there isn't really an emphasis on getting likes and shares and things. I think it is more sort of about, it feels like you have a space as opposed to an account, if that makes sense. I don't want to romanticize it too much. It's just different. It does feel a little bit more early internet. Apparently people were searching up MySpace. Bite-sized devlogs are good. Yeah, see, I might do that. I might just give it a go. Just about certain things that I've decided, you know, I've had thoughts on, but then I kind of start writing and then it turns into a full devlog. I don't know. I'll have a think. But then and it goes back into the thing of like, I think people follow you usually for like one reason. I think it's hard to grow unless you're kind of hammering the single reason that people follow you. And so if I kind of post my artwork there and then start posting sort of technical decisions about user interfaces, it kind of turns people off. I think anyway. This is just a theory I've had. And of course we were talking about Mastodon's post limit. Again, it's like even if Mastodon allowed for larger post sizes, I just don't know if it's the place to sort of write something that feels a bit like a blog entry, even if it's short. I don't know. There's just something about it. Something about the format. I can't quite put my finger on it. But I don't know if anyone here is from Mastodon, but I've thank you so much if you're just recently followed me, because I've had lots of encouragement on Mastodon just recently. I mean, you can probably guess what catalyzed it, but it's been good to have people just, you know, just stumbling on my work, and also really good. There's been so many new artists joining. You know, on the opposite side, lots of people new to follow and new to check out their stuff. I feel like I got caught in a little bit of a rut on Twitter, and it was hard to find new people. Mastodon post size varies by instance. Oh yes, so yeah, we were talking about this last stream, weren't we? And I thought when you said 5,000, I thought you meant words, not characters. But yeah, I don't know how many words that roughly equates to. Oh, thanks, Lilith. I was just saying I wasn't sure about this character because they've got a slightly a more human face, but I think it's good to kind of keep change things up a little bit, because some people might prefer that with their characters. I think characters are ultimately sort of like a, you want to attract the sort of characters that visually appeal to you, I think, and their personality. Yeah, there are a few characters with very high heads, and I was just recently doing, this is something I could post and talk about on my Tumblr as well, but I recently did a thing where characters have a little icon that appears above their head, if they've got something to say to you, because someone was saying they had no idea that, that they could talk to someone, that there'd be more content, so I think it was sort of quite an important thing to include. And it was because all the characters share the same base structure. I think I might have to change that, to be fair, because their head is so high, like the little icon for like, oh, I've got something to say to you would have to appear way above here, whereas the Apple character's head probably sits like here, and they'd have it here, and it just looks a bit odd when this is sort of floating around here and it's overlapping. 800 words, okay, so decent. Yeah, you could definitely get a devlog in, but yeah, I don't know, I feel like if someone did that, I'd be a bit annoyed. I suppose you could put it behind a content warning. You could be like, big long post ahead, but then people wouldn't see it. I don't know. Something to think about anyway. Yeah, and really, once I get the characters, the backside of their head finished, they're ready for the game. I made a conscious decision when designing the game that the character would, the non-playable characters would have just front and back, and that the player would have front, back, and sides. And that saved me a lot of work, I think. If the characters had 3 different looks, then that would be Louis Tumblr era. Yeah, we're back to 2011. I don't know. Maybe the whole format, maybe the whole thing will fall apart within a month. It's hard to gauge how many people are on it at the moment, because there's definitely people on there who have always been on there. Do you know what I mean? Instances running the glitch sock fork will auto-fold long posts. Oh, okay. I don't know if Mastodon.art supports that. I think I'm looking to leave Mastodon.art. I think I'm gonna stick to it for the time being. But once things cool down, I think I ideally move to a smaller instance. But I've been looking and I haven't found anything that I think quite fits the bill, because I do want to be somewhere where other illustrators are. But there was just a lot of there was a lot of drama the other week in regards to Federation and everything, which I had feelings about. Just in regards to how all the very big instances all interact. I think it's probably cooled down a bit now. But it'd be good to get away from that. I think Mastodon has a lot of rough edges, which I think the new influx has definitely brought to the forefront. Which, in the nature of Mastodon, hopefully that means they get addressed. Which might not be the case for other social media platforms. Tumblr are planning on providing interop. Is that like a I'm not sure what you mean by that, sorry. They're kind of like a I can't think of the word now. Where it supports it, I'm guessing is what you mean. I mean, that would be cool. I'm not sure. I'm quite enjoying Tumblr as a separate space at the moment, but yeah. Can subscribe to Tumblr. Oh, really? But not the other way around, I'm guessing. It'd be cool if Tumblr went ActivityPub. I'm sure they couldn't do it. Because I think ultimately that's what I really like about Mastodon is the sort of the wider the ecosystem that you could follow. Yeah, you're not locked down onto. You can follow different platforms, not even Mastodon instances, but even, you know, I mean, there's Pixelfed, there's Plamora, there's Funk Whale, I think, as part of the ActivityPub. It's cool. I mean, basically, oh, and the YouTube one. I forgot what it's called now, PeerTube. I think it's really cool. But, you know, I think Mastodon's the only one that's really taken off in a meaningful way. I think all the others are sort of trying to find their footing. But sort of the idea that you could subscribe to the equivalent of a YouTube channel through Mastodon, I think is very, very interesting. And none of them are owned by a company, I think is... But again, I think we're getting to that point where it becomes too much of a... too much onload for just the average user who probably doesn't, you know, they just want to watch a video, which is totally fair. Presumably they're implementing ActivityPub, but it will be bi-directional. Do you think that would be really cool if they just went full ActivityPub? I mean, they'd easily be the biggest ActivityPub service, but I don't know. Do you think it would be? I don't think it would be bi-directional. I'm just cynical in that. Just cynical. It is owned by WordPress now, though, so maybe they would sort of, because WordPress is pretty, as far as I know, fairly pro open source. I don't know. Maybe. Interesting thought. This guy is nearly ready for the game, I think. They might be in the next version, which would be fun. Be good to get a few more people in. I do need to do their icons as well. WordPress already provides ActivityPub export. Oh, okay. But it's not two-way, is it? Because I used to use I signed up to write.as because that supports ActivityPub. That's what the devlog is hosted on, because I like the idea of Mastodon. I think you can follow the blog on Mastodon, which is cool, but I thought for the longest time you'd be able to comment on the blog posts, and I don't think they ever quite got there. Because again, that's another really cool thing. You could get rid of is it Discuss or something on Tumblr, but the whole like comment section thing that's again closed. I think it'd be really cool if Mastodon posts become comments on blogs. You know, I just think there's a lot of potential there. But yeah, we might be a way away from it. I'm opening a file. I forgot what I'm opening. I remember. So every character has a map icon. And that's kind of like usually the last thing I do for a character as I draw the little map icon. Stream width, I'll need to look into that. I'm quite happy with write.as. Or maybe it's just called write.as. It's not quite developed at the pace I was hoping it would. Is all. What I need. Let me do a quick. One way to end the stream. Those of you who have stuck with it, thanks so much. Been a good one. And I think maybe next stream what we'll do is add it then. Here we go. Next stream what we might do. Oh, it's going to open up. Bear with. I might do a new character with because I did say Fern last time were really excited at doing a character stream, so I think we'll probably do these are the new NPCs. I don't know if anybody saw them in the new video I posted. But yes, I think we'll do another character stream. Not next week. Week after next. And I don't know if it's been loud enough, but the new soundtrack has been playing in the background. I say new soundtrack, but the new mixes, which I'm hoping to have finalized. I've done the day soundtrack. I just need to finish up the night soundtrack, which is a much easier endeavor than the day, because the day is so much more complex. And I finally finished. I wrote the last song for the game the other day, and it was kind of a little bit bittersweet. I probably will play at some point. But I finally finished up the night soundtrack. It's been 4 years in the making, so that feels good. I thought for this stream, usually I just shuffle them all, but for this stream I thought I would play the soundtrack the day before the night, and I think we've just crossed into the night. So. Oh, I think in Krita you can... Oh, risky. But it's a sneak preview, if you didn't blink there, of Irving the Hare, who's getting a bit of a rework. Opened up to it. Okay, so I think I can tile. There we go. This is what I always see. What's his name on David Revoy? I think on social media with all of his artwork tiled. A little low on. Okay, I didn't want it too loud because I thought people might. It is just to fill the silences. But yeah. Yeah, I've never quite gotten to the point where I'm properly working on multiple tiles of artwork. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool if we get the soundtrack out for backers as well. In the next, hopefully within the next, if not November, then December. Can be a little bit of a challenge to get them looking exactly the same character. A bit of fun. So could have done a sort of a default icon for all the characters, but I like that. And I think we get once you're able to assign characters to garden projects, it'll be useful as well. And the new social tab, I've been working on that. I really want to bring. I've said this before, but I think it's finally coming together. But the idea of unlocking characters to the forefront. I just added it in the game now that if you haven't unlocked a character, every day a completely random character will visit the garden, regardless. You just won't be able to invite them to the garden. Which I think is going to be a good change. I think it's going to allow people to maybe meet a character that they really like and then see, oh, how do I unlock them? And just show that the characters are in the game. They're a little bit hidden away at the moment. If you're not actively unlocking them. Yeah, and it's much clearer now how close you are to unlocking the characters, and it arranges the characters to how close you've unlocked them. Provides a little progress bar and everything. It's a lot better. I'm hoping it'll make it feel more intuitive. And I've got it lists the people who are in your garden as well, and you even get like a little walking animation of them, which was good fun to implement. And I've been working today on the changes to the tea system. I think I'm going to get rid of. I think the lantern in the game, just because it's typically, because there were going to be different lanterns that you could unlock, but kind of didn't mean anything. I think it was just visual. And so in an effort, in both an effort to make the tea system, I think, more, because I want it to be important that you're thinking about the tea that you've drunk and the tea that you're about to brew. I want to bring that more to the forefront, and I want to make rucksacks really tall, really tall, with lots of junk on them. And so there's going to be a third pouch slot, which is going to be the things that you stack on top of your bag. And then I'm replacing the dies are going to be per item, because items can theoretically support that, whereas they couldn't back in the day. And I'm going to replace the lantern slot with a mug. You can equip a mug, which I think is quite cute, and angle off your bag. And you'll be able to buy teapots, thermos flasks from characters, which will hold a certain amount of tea. And when you talk to Bunk and have your tea brewed, you select what you want it brewed in, which will affect the tea as well. My hope is that at the start of the game, your character will have a flask of tea brought with them, to sort of help introduce to the player, that this is kind of an important part of the game. And then I want to balance the game around that, because at the moment I'm sort of in this funny area where you want the character to be gathering things early on in the game, but then in order to gather things meaningfully in part of the game is that you're brewing teas to increase your stats. So it's this sort of, I've always been doing this balance of should the player character have high stats to begin with, or I think giving the character a thermos flask of tea and sort of having that as a limit, because you're going to run out of tea, but a limit to quite potently increasing your gathering output, I think is a decent way to solve for that. But we'll see. I'll be gathering feedback, and of course we'll go from there. But I think the idea of being able to buy different teapots and things and brewing in those and is going to be a lot of fun. Equipping different mugs. Again, I like having equipable items that you don't usually equip in games. And I think having one of your equipment be a mug, I think is quite like the idea. Yeah, a lot of people have said that. And I really do want brewing tea to be a cool mechanic. So I don't want it to just be like a thing that you kind of do because it's cute. I want the player to be really thinking about what they're harvesting, what it does, and sort of growing their garden around that. That's the hope. Okay, I'm just gonna finish off this icon for Jamie on the left here. If anybody has any questions, any final questions, do let me know. But if not, thanks so much for joining me. Shame Fern couldn't make it. But fingers crossed, bright as rain. The next. He always brings immaculate vibes. Oh, thanks, Lilith. I keep meaning to do a few more, just sort of off the cuff streams, maybe. They're a little bit more of me getting up to go and get a drink. A little less formal. But oh, this is the last song. Oh, I'll turn up the volume a little bit. Yeah, I hope your holiday's going well, Sparrow. It's this week, is it? So you're I always think streams are on Wednesday because we used to do them on Wednesday. So still plenty of time off to go. That's good. Oh, and thanks for the shout out, Sparrow. I can't remember but you recommended me as a streamer as an artist that streamed on Twitch. I'll pass it on. I appreciate that. Having first frosts. Yeah, I think it was the first frost today here as well. We went on a morning walk, and which we don't often do. We forgot how busy the things can be when people are walking their kids to school. Slightly misjudged our timing, but yeah, it's certainly dewy. It had that kind of white shimmer. Always get. Always get until. Oh, I'm hungry. I know what I'm going to eat after this stream. That's usually what I do after the streams. A big sandwich. Although some streams it takes so much prep that I haven't eaten lunch, so I usually am very hungry. Been like flying through clouds here in the afternoon. Wow, okay. Is that yeah, it must be colder. Must be colder out where you are. But it's definitely been a chilly one this week. Been November back to its proper self. Well, thanks everyone for joining. If you did still have a question, you can message me on Twitter. I'm at Louis Darren. You can follow the game at From Carrot Cake. We're at From Carrot Cake on pretty much everywhere. Even YouTube now. YouTube have done their little handles, so we're at From Carrot Cake on YouTube too. Instagram, TikTok. Give us a follow. Give us a wish list. I think Nightbot has been posting wish list links, but if not, I think it's in the description. That really helps us out, gives us an idea of who's interested in the game, and keeps you updated with Steam updates. Keeps you in the know. But otherwise, yeah, join the community Discord. I think it's the descriptions. Oh, Glenn's just said it in chat as well, but it will be in the description. Come and say hi. Feel free to message me, DM me, or post the question in the server itself. I try to check it. Well, I have it open while I'm working, and if I'm not working, I still try and check it when I can. And the whole team is there, so come say hi, post a picture of your pets. Oh, thanks, bro. I keep forgetting you can do that. Although, admittedly, I'm not sure I'm signed into Twitch when I do this. Otherwise, yeah, in 2 weeks' time, hopefully back on stream with Fern. Be back to the universe will be back to its usual state. And we'll be doing some more artwork, some more updates. So stay tuned for that. But otherwise, take care, everyone. Have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you might be. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.